We want to welcome to the program Ryan Spader. Hello, Ryan. How's everything?
Mr. Robinson, I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us on the program. So let's get right to it. You have a very interesting career that you have been involved in. Of course, you've done some writing. Well, you've done a lot of writing work. You've covered the Buffalo Bills for the Buffalo News, and you've also contributed to NBC Sports as well as the Sporting News. And also something you do well in the world of sports that, to my opinion, is fascinating but doesn't get enough credit until recent, and that's being a statistician. How did you get into the world of becoming a sports statistician?
Well, for me, it was, I think, my freshman or sophomore year of college where I realized I'm probably not going to be a Major League Baseball player. I got cut from Penn State's club team. And I was studying economics. I had a professor who I really liked, Daniel Goldstein, who was my professor for statistics and advanced econometrics classes. And he would always use baseball players in his probability problems. One time he used Ryan Howard, who I'm a Philly guy. I was all about it. I loved it. And it just hit me. I was like, this is how I can be involved with baseball statistics. I'm good at this stuff. I can do this. And it took a little while before I realized exactly how I would do it. About 3 years, in fact. But eventually I figured out that I could come up with these statistics that you're not going to find on the back of a baseball card. And to my surprise, a lot of people seem to enjoy it. So it kind of blossomed for me from there.
All right, let's stay with what you do and just in what goes into being a sports statistician. You mentioned that you were cut from the club team during your time in college at Penn State University, and your educational background, you earned a degree, as you mentioned, in economics, and you also had a focus in statistics as well as advanced econometrics. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah, that's right.
Econometrics, and you have a module in healthcare economics. Now, we know about statistics concern. There's, with pitchers, there's an earned run average, there's also batting average, on-base percentage, and things of that nature. If someone wanted to be a sports statistician, if someone wanted to get into it, do they have to have strong math skills, or what goes into being a statistician?
You know, as much as I want to say that they do, because that's one of the only things that I'm good at is numbers and mathematics, it's not even necessary anymore. You can get the computer to do the thinking for you a lot of times. It's unfortunate, but I think it's really just comes down to a desire at this point. A desire, and of course you actually have to like the numbers. You have to like trying to find new ways to evaluate and evaluate by the numbers. But then I would also caution those who want to get involved with baseball by the numbers. Don't depend just on the numbers, because the eye test still means something. I can't stand the complete old school guys who are like, the eye test, that's all that matters. Well, it's not all that matters, because statistics, analytics, sabermetrics definitely play a part, but you still have to watch the guy. You still have to play the game. That will always matter.
Okay, so let's say for instance, again, you're a numbers guy, so, and I know I'm pretty good in math. So I want to ask you, if for instance, if there's let's say Aaron Judge, his batting average, if you're presenting to maybe a sports network, and if Aaron Judge has, hypothetically, say he has a batting average of 320, do you be given to you through an internet source, or do you sometimes do, as you would say, old school, and do a little pen and paper just to kind of make sure that it's correct and it's precise?
So for me, I use a combination. I use a number of sources. Most of them grab data from RetroSheet, which is really valuable. Pardon me. I also use Baseball Reference and their Play Index, which is fantastic. Fangraphs, another good one. Baseball Savant, fantastic. But basically what I do is scrape the websites and create my own databases, because unfortunately none of that stuff's updated in real time. And then I create things that I can get this information in real time, where Aaron Judge, who you give an example, might be batting 320. Let's say he hits a home run in his first at bat. Well, I immediately want to know, what's his numbers now across the board. That way I can share them with my following. And that's what I've been able to do, is kind of combine everything. I don't necessarily use pen and paper anymore. To be honest with you, I never did. Like I said, math is one of the few things I'm good at, and I always kind of was able to just do it in my head. But I like using a lot of different tools, and fortunately for me, there's so many different resources out there that honestly, they don't get enough credit, especially Baseball Reference. Fantastic website.
For all of my mathematical geniuses out there, there's average. Well, to figure out an average, there's mode, range, median, and the mean. Do you figure that out from time to time, or do you just basically just figure out the average and then you just rely on other sources?
No, I play with just about everything. I think, honestly, I said it wasn't until I realized I was going to make the pick that I decided to get involved by the numbers, but I was trying to create statistics for baseball players since I was in like the 6th grade or so. And so I've played with just about anything that you can imagine in terms of the numbers beyond what you're going to find in the back of a baseball card.
You co-authored the first and second editions of a book titled Incredible Baseball Stats, the Coolest, Strangest Stats and Facts in Baseball History. Just tell our audience just a little bit about what's fascinating and the cool stuff that's featured in this book.
So, to me, I'm going to be completely honest with you off the bat. This is not what I find most fascinating, but it's what baseball fans do. These are the things that, again, you're not going to find on the back of the baseball card. However, it's not going to help any teams really necessarily win ball games or anything. It's not predictive analysis, the stuff that I like to do, but it's a lot of fun. It's something that is for, as far as I'm concerned, baseball fans from 8 and up, maybe even younger, if they're pretty well-versed in reading, unlike I was when I was that age. But
how long did you and your partner that helped you write this book, right? Let me get his name, Kevin Reevey. How long did you guys take to write this book?
So the first one, I didn't sign Kevin on until, let me think, probably about 2 years before we published. I don't consider myself a gifted writer. Kevin, however, is fantastic, and without Kevin, this book, there's no way it would have gotten done. I'm good by the numbers. He helped piece it all together. The research that went into it, I would say, was about 5 years. And then piecing it together was about 18 months. And our first one was released in April of 2016. And the second one, just about now.
Well, good stuff from you. And, of course, we got to give props to Kevin, as well, as you mentioned, for his great writing skills. I want to get back to the statistics for a moment. I've always wanted to figure this out, and you can explain to the audience out there. How do you calculate a batting average?
Batting average, it dates back as long as baseball does. All you're looking at is players' hits over his at-bats. Now, his at-bats aren't every single time that he's coming up to the plate, because if a player walks, if you get hit by a pitch, if he hits a sacrifice fly, those are not considered at-bat. Those are just plate appearances. Now, you have to only have the things that are considered at-bats when a guy comes up, be it a hit, a strikeout, a ground out, a fly out, and so on and so forth. So there's certain things, certain times when a player steps to the plate that don't necessarily count against or for his batting average.
Okay, interesting tidbit. All this time I never figured out how a batting average was calculated. I learned something new. What about an on-base percentage? How do you calculate an on-base percentage?
So now you're speaking a little more my language, because I happen to think that that's a far more important statistic than batting average. Because
how so?
Certain players are gifted. Certain players are gifted in the ability to select pitches. Like Tony Gwynn was one of the batting average kings. Wade Boggs, not quite as good at batting average, but a better on-base guy, because he had a better ability to pick his pitches and take walks. Now, on-base percentage is going to be hit by pitch and walks you're going to go with at-bats, walks by pitch, and sacrifice flies. So it's basically taking into account all of the plate appearances, with exception to a very limited few. Off the top of my head, I don't have it, but it's okay. You're counting for everything that batting average is ignoring.
Let me backtrack. You said on-base percentage, what to you, in your opinion, was a more important statistic than batting average. You mentioned Tony Gwynn and Wade Boggs had better on-base percentages. Now, we know Tony Gwynn, rest in peace, one of the greatest hitters of all time. Wade Boggs, when he was playing, was a solid hitter in his own right. But what about a gentleman by the name of Ichiro? Ichiro had a great career batting average. What was his batting average better, or was his on-base percentage better?
So Ichiro was one of those guys who was a little bit better with the batting average. He didn't quite walk as much. But I'll tell you a fascinating statistic about Ichiro that I enjoyed. Ichiro, in his 10th career at bat, now bear in mind, he had over 10,000. He singled in his 10th career at bat, raising his lifetime batting average to 300, the standard for excellence. At no point during his entire career did it below 300.
Wow, I learned something new right there. That's interesting right there. Again, you mentioned, again, Ichiro, one of those great hitters of all time, man. I know it was something serious, but not like that. So I'm just here looking at statistics right here, kind of like the list of Major League Baseball career batting average leaders. Let's start off with Ty Cobb. Ty Cobb is currently number 1. Did he have a better batting average, or did he have a better on-base percentage?
So just about every player in history had a better on-base percentage because it's counting all those other things like the walks and the hit by pitch. But you look at a guy and you say, okay, he was more of a guy to hit for average than he was to take a walk. Ty Cobb was a little bit of both, and it's in the same vein. One of the most fascinating facts that I've found on Ty Cobb is that he could, well, of course, he would have to resurrect, but he could resurrect, return to baseball, and go 0 for 2,523, and he would still have that mark of excellence at 300 batting average. 0 for 2,523. Now, that's about 0 for 5 seasons.
Man, that's amazing, right? That's it's so interesting about numbers. It's like you could be not so efficient in one category, but you could be efficient in another category. It's interesting right there. And speaking of something that's interesting, Reggie Jackson, Hall of Famer, so many career home runs that he hit throughout his career, but he had so many strikeouts. Ryan, did Reggie Jackson have a better on-base percentage than a batting average?
Yeah, like I said, most of these guys, just about all players in history, had a better on-base percentage than batting average. You're going to find maybe 1 or 2, and they probably only had 10 or 11 career plate appearances. Reggie Jackson was a victim of the strikeout for a long time, but a large part of that is because he played for as long as he did. Reggie Jackson never struck out more than 171 times in a season, and that was when he was just 22 years old. Now, a guy, Mike Trout, strikes out that much in a season, if not more. And, we don't even bat an eyelash. The fact of the matter is Reggie Jackson played 2,820 career games, and he still had fewer career strikeouts than he had games played. If you strike out once a game, you can still be very successful in today's game, like a guy like Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, really any of them. Aaron Judge, who you bring up, strikes out more than once a game. Jackson, probably up there as one of the greatest sluggers of all time, kind of gets a little bit of a knock for me because of his slugging average is below 500. But the strikeouts, I think he gets a bad rep because they collected over a very, very long period of time. And he didn't even strike out once a game. So that's not too bad.
All right, fair enough. Well, again, I learned something interesting. I always thought that I always looked at batting average as being significantly better than the on-base percentage, but then you said it was the other way around in your opinion, and now you explain the reasons why for on-base percentage, such as hit by pitch and walks and things of that nature. So that's good. Good explanation right there. All right, Ryan, before we let you go and let you promote your social media and website, for all of the people that may not be familiar with what a mean, median, mode, and a range is, can you explain to our audience what those means and what those mathematical terms mean, please?
Yeah, of course. So mean, you're just talking like when we went to batting average, right? Mean is just your straight up average. You combine everything and divide it by the total number, right? Mode, bring it back to grade school days. MO, most often. It's the number that appears most often in a series of numbers. What were the other ones you wanted?
Median and range.
Range is the difference between the highest and lowest values. Typically, that's going to be more valuable when it comes to the advanced statistics because you're able to see how far a guy deviates from the best or how far he deviates from the worst. Mean, median, which one did I miss?
And the last one is median.
Median is the one right in the middle. So you could have, I'll just give you an example. So if we got 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6, the median is going to be 4 because that appears right in the middle.
Okay. Okay, very good. Thank you for explaining that to our audience out there. And I got to ask you, who had a better on-base percentage, Rickey Henderson or Ken Griffey Jr.?
Oh, Rickey. So if you got 2 minutes, I can tell you a quick story about when I met Rickey.
Sure. Hey,
he's one of my favorites of all time.
You got all the time you want. Oh, okay.
Rickey, well, first of all, he's second all times in walks, only to Barry Bonds. But Rickey Henderson, I was fortunate enough to be invited to see Tim Raines get inducted into the Hall of Fame. Rock has become a friend of mine. He thinks some of my work helped him get into the Hall of Fame. I don't know if I agree with that, but I'll take it. And he invited me along to the Hall of Fame. It was like sort of like a wedding. You know, you had a place to sit and everything. And I was at the same table as Rickey Henderson. And when I sit down with Rickey Henderson, I don't typically get too starstruck, but I love this dude. Like he's one of the greatest ball players of all time. And first of all, I'm taken aback by the fact he's my size. I'm only 5'8", 5'9", on a good day, and I'm like, this guy's one of the greatest ball players of all time. He's my size, and I introduced myself to him, and we're talking a little bit, and he kind of asked me in a very nice way, saying like, "So what the heck are you doing here?" You know, and I explained to him the work that I do when I try to dig up these numbers that you're not going to find on the back of a baseball card, and tell him that Tim Raines thinks that some of the numbers I dug up on him helped him get into the Hall of Fame. And Rickey, as he's known to do, speaks in the third person. And he says to me, "Well, what you got on Rickey?" And so I'm all excited. I pull up my phone and I pull up one of my best Rickey Henderson stats that nobody knows. And I hand him my phone, and he looks at it, and he does a double take. And he's shocked. I could see it in his face. And I'm all excited because Tim Raines on our book wrote a little blurb for us, and he said, "There's stats in here about my own career that I didn't even know." And I think Rickey Henderson's about to say the same thing to me. And then he gathers himself, he hands me the phone, and he says, "Rickey knows all Rickey stats."
Wow, man, what an interesting story that is right there. Obviously, to meet one of your favorite players in Rickey Henderson, man. He was definitely talented in his heyday, I tell you that. And speaking of, you mentioned about Tim Raines. You were invited by him as a thank you for him being inducted into the Hall of Fame. What's your involvement with the Pro Baseball Hall of Fame?
My involvement is mostly with the players. I was invited for Tim Raines's I was invited for Edgar Martinez. I'll go for Larry Walker as well. But I will say one of the coolest things that I have is, to my knowledge, I'm the only individual who has this honor. I actually found a statistical error on one of the Hall of Fame plaques for Wade Boggs, who forwarded my first book. It said that he had reached base safely in 80% of his career games. The true percentage is 85.2. Now, you think 5.2, that's not that big of a deal. Wade Boggs played 2,439 career games. Over that span, that is 129 games, that 5.2%. That's an entire season. I sent that to Wade, and he was a little ticked off. He was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So I sent it to the Hall of Fame, and sure enough, they made the update. They updated his plaque because I corrected the error.
Wow! Just when you think they're not paying attention, they really are. Especially they know what it's all about. So, good looking out on, good paying attention on that one right there. So, before we let you go, Ryan, let the audience know where can they find you on social media, and if you have a website, let them know that as well.
Oh, it's pretty simple because my Twitter is the Ace of Spader, and Spader is Spaeder, and then my website is theaceofspader.com. And I'm not difficult to find. You know, you want to find me, you'll find me. I really appreciate you having me on and let me talk some baseball with you.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you once again for taking time out of your busy schedule to be on the program. So you heard it from him. He's Ryan Spaeder, baseball analyst, author, also statistician, writer, doing a lot of great things. And also he's co-authored The Incredible Baseball Stats, the coolest, strangest stats and facts in baseball history. Ryan, thank you so much for your expertise, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us on the program.
No, sir. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.